where movies, shows, and games light up your fantasy. Slav's behind the mic, he's got a vibe so free. From Star Wars superhero worlds, he's spilling all the tea. He'll break down every trailer.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Slav's Free Talk Podcast. I'm glad to have you all here. Oh, man. It was a week. It was a week. Oh, weekend, I should say. There's not a lot of news to talk about, but we got some things to talk about, so let's dive in, guys. We got some Snow White. Man, what a disaster that's become. We have some things about Jason Bourne, that saga, which is one of my favorite little sagas that's out there. So I'm excited to talk about that a little bit. We have some Superman, and really it's a lot of Superman talk today. Could we be seeing, well, not us, Thailand be seeing 5 minutes of footage in the coming weeks? Then there's some Smallville information, and speaking of footage, are we getting a new trailer next week? So let's dive in, guys. Let's get into all of the fun. Let's do this. How's it going, guys? Glad that you have made it here. I'm glad that we can have this little safe space. I don't want to say. Why did I say safe space? That is a terrible thing to say. Why would I even say that? Come on now. This isn't a safe space. Is it? I don't know. Whatever. That was a terrible thing for me to say. Anyways, we got Xander Wild back here. What's going on, Xander? Glad that your schedule worked out, that you're here today. Glad to see you. We got Trevon in here. We got a Tito in here. We got Cozy Lion in here. Glad to see you all here. Should be a good episode, hopefully. I'm gonna here's what we're gonna do. You guys are gonna have to be the driving force, I think, with this episode, because like I said, there wasn't a lot of news that I wanted to cover today. So we're gonna play it by whatever we can here, by questions, by interactions with you guys. That's what we're gonna do. All right, so let's pull up Snow White. Did any of you go see Snow White? Any of you go see it? I haven't. I haven't gone to see it. I don't think I'm going to go see it. I never intended to go see it, but I don't know if any of you did. Andre stopped in and says, I'm here. I'm waiting to hear news about Superman. We'll get to it. Don't worry. So Snow White came out this past weekend, and the initial reports a while ago was like, hey, this movie's going to make like 55 to 60 million, which was pretty bad to begin with. Then it dropped down to like 45 to 55 million, which is pretty bad. That's what they were thinking it was going to make. And that's domestically, by the way. Worldwide, it wasn't faring too well. We know that on the build up to it, there was a lot of controversy surrounding it, specifically that of Rachel Zegler. She just made a lot of terrible comments on the build up to it. She was not a good spokesperson for this movie. Let's also not forget that the way that it wasn't just her, but the way that they handled this film. Peter Dinklage, even, the actor who played in Game of Thrones, he was an elf. He's a little person. He's a dwarf. I don't know what the correct terminology is anymore for people of their stature, but he even called out Disney because they didn't hire dwarves. They didn't hire little people for the roles as the dwarves in the film. And that was a controversy surrounding it. You then go forward with and granted, depending on what side of the spectrum you're on, Gal Gadot playing the evil queen and everything that surrounds her being Israeli and everything going on in the Middle East right now. It was just one controversy after another with this movie, as well as the story being changed, where it's not the prince, it's some Joe Schmo down the road. You have it all about woman power. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that just they just couldn't get away from it. The question I come back to is, when I think about this film is why make it this way? You have a beloved film, animated movie that people have adored for decades and nearly a century. People have adored. And you make drastic changes to it, and you expect people to just accept it without any issue. And then all the other stuff that happened with it. It's baffling to me. Then they didn't have a normal red carpet premiere. They kind of hid Rachel Zegler from the press. They did all these things to just it's almost like they wanted to not release this movie, but released it at the same time. So the movie came out this past weekend. Domestically, $43 million domestically. Remember, early predictions had it making more than 60 million. Secondary predictions had it making more than 50 million. And it didn't even break $45 million. Ouch. That hurts. That really, really, really hurts. Internationally, it made a little bit more, taking it to a worldwide gross of 87.3 million. Now, there's talk that this movie cost around 200 million to make, give or take. So you figure with the marketing, you're probably looking at about a roughly $400 million movie all in, roughly, give or take. So to make even, you need this movie to make $400 million. To make some money, you need to make well over that $500, $600 million. Is this movie going to do that? No. It has a chance to hit that 400 million, but the reviews aren't terrible. Now, this is over on Rotten Tomatoes. Currently sitting at 43% from the critics, which is outrageous. 74% from just average viewers, not average viewers, but, the fans, the people the audience that goes and sees it. But it's honestly like, is this movie going to hit even 400 million? I can't see it doing that. Some people think it can. A couple of the top critic reviews, it says, and this is a good rating, says just the right amount of newness and unpredictability is the true magic of Webb's Snow White. Now, this is coming from Mark Webb, who did the Spider-Man movies, if I'm not mistaken. The which ones was it? Didn't he do the Andrew Garfield ones? Did he do the Andrew Garfield ones, or am I mistaken? Mark Webb, director. He also was music video director. He did the Amazing Spider-Man movies. That's right. Just making sure. Didn't want to misspeak there. So, it's kind of like, okay. He did 500 Days of Summer, which was a good movie. But when you take a look at some of his other stuff, I mean, he's not a great director. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, then you have a rotten review here from another top critic that says, these cursory changes clash with its more modernized lead, and the resulting dissonance is particularly egregious. By stranding Snow White in garish landscapes opposite thinly written scene partners, the movie betrays her. All right. Then you have a really good audience review from Adam L. saying, we're going in, verdict A+. This film is exceptional and deserves the highest praise. It boasts a multitude of outstanding elements that make it a compelling watch. Laura L. says, it was pretty much as poor as I expected. Wish they had real actors play the doors and told the truth about Snow White's name, skin white as snow, and hair black as ebony. I mean, again, it's about they had to change the story. They had to make it fit their own narrative and way that they wanted to explain the story. You see there's differences of opinions here. It's going to be interesting to see where this finishes. I'm thinking it's probably going to finish around the 300 million, maybe 350 at most. That's what I see. it might have a big second weekend. If it has a big drop this weekend, like let's say it drops like 55-60%. If it has a big drop like that, it's done. It'll hit 200 million if it's lucky. But if it only drops like 45-50%, 45%, I think it could have some legs and could actually hit that 400 maybe. But it would be tough for it to do, for sure. But let me know your thoughts. Did you check it out? Did you see Snow White? Did you like it? Do you think that the reviews are accurate? Do you think it should have made more money? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So I saw somebody over here say they actually saw the movie. Who was it? Cozy Lion said, I saw Snow White. I graded a D. Ouch. Hatito says, I refuse to see it. Goober316 didn't see Snow White, saw Day the Earth blew up instead. Hey, more power to you. I like that. Andre says, I'll pass on Snow White. Xander, Snow White didn't bomb. It imploded on itself. Critic Chris stopped in, and he's here. Says, hey, Slav, everyone, what's going on? Cozy Line says, I didn't have a problem with the lead actress or the doors. I just thought it was badly written film with poor songs. Also, characters being useless. Original was once again better. Now, getting back to that, what you're saying, Cozy Line, the one thing that I want to bring up with this is I take Beauty and the Beast. The remake of Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson and whatever his face was, who played Beast. I can't remember his name. Luke Evans as Gaston. That movie was nearly, I'm not going to say it was exactly, but it was nearly a shot-for-shot remake of the animated version. It wasn't a shot-for-shot remake, but I mean, it was damn near like an exact replica of that animated movie. And I sat there after I watched it and I said, why did they make this? If you're going to do the same thing that you did with the animated movie, why make this? So I'm one of the people that sit here and says, yes, I want them to do something different. But I also am somebody who sits here and says, I don't want them to change the core of the movie. Like, I don't want them to change, or not the movie, the story. Snow White, skin pale as snow, hair as ebony, all that kind of stuff. I get that. Making her more beautiful than the Wicked Witch, or not the witch, but the witch or whatever her name. Yeah, whatever it is. That all makes sense. Like, you need to have those are core elements of that story. But when you don't do that, that's kind of what ruins the idea for this. And yeah, I mean, I know they brought her on because she has pipes. I mean, honestly, I think that's the only reason why they got her in here is because she can sing good. And that's the only reason why they got her. Rachel Zegler, that is. Trayvon says, when you have even watched Mojo crapping on Snow White, that's when you really know it's really bad. I didn't even know that. Critic Chris recently seen video of Gal Gadot locking lips with her daughter. No idea. Okay, I don't know. Critic Chris, don't matter to me. That's the downside of being famous. Resident Justice is here. Yo! Trayvon, Disney better be glad they don't have David Take No Prisoners Zaslav as their CEO. More than half of what Disney has put out throughout the 2020s wouldn't have even seen the light of day under his watch. Very, very true. Chris says, Snow wrong. Now, Critic Chris says, do not know Disney tolerates themselves having their films fail. They're only good for a movie's budget, not call all the shots in their films be made to their liking. Donovan Martin says, it's looking like the official trailer is next week. I guess you're talking about Superman. It also says here that with showings of Minecraft, they're showing 5-minute clip of Superman. We will get to that information here in a little bit. All right, next story I want to talk about is this right here. The rights of the Jason Bourne franchise are being sold to another studio, possibly. Skydance, Apple, and Netflix have met about acquiring the franchise. Unclear if Matt Damon will still be involved or if a reboot will happen. Look, guys, this is very similar to my excitement that I have when it comes to James Bond. See, James Bond is one of those, 007 was one of those franchises as a kid that I loved watching. But whenever I became a teenager, Jason Bourne was like the adult version of 007 James Bond. That wasn't until Daniel Craig took over as James Bond, because James Bond was always just a little bit quirky and a little humorous in ways. But whenever I became a teenager, it was like Jason Bourne was like gritty and just much more intense and action packed. And man, did I jump into that series. And Matt Damon was excellent in the role. Everything he did with that series was fantastic. And look, say what you will about the one with Jeremy Renner. I think it was Bourne Legacy. Is that what that one was called, or something like that? It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. But the series as a whole, I truly enjoyed. What makes me excited about this is that this means that some life will get reinvigorated with this franchise. Because after the last one, it sort of just died. It's fizzled out. Matt Damon's older. I believe he's in his 50s now. You get to a point where it's kind of like, what are you going to keep doing? It's almost like Tom Cruise with the Mission Impossible series. Tom Cruise is in his 60s. He can't keep being Ethan Hunt and doing all these crazy stunts. Matt Damon's at that age where it's kind of like, okay, he should be winding down from this Bourne stuff. What are you going to do? And when you take a look at these names, Skydance, Apple, and Netflix, it's almost like, who would you want to take over this franchise? Who would take care with this franchise? Because for me, I think who were they under? Were they under Universal? I think that they've been handled very well up to this point. But or maybe it was Paramount. But regardless, I think that whoever takes over it, they need to really make sure that it's handled with care and done right. And I think a reboot needs to happen. I think, look, as much as I've loved what Matt Damon has done, I think it's time for a reboot. Just like I say this about even Mission Impossible. I think if this next Mission Impossible is the final one, I think you give it a few years and then you reboot and start over and get somebody else in there as the new character, as a new lead. And it is Universal that was doing these. But out of these, I would say Apple is intriguing. Apple is intriguing because Apple takes care with what they're putting on screen. You take a look at all of this stuff. I mean, you take a look at things like Ted Lasso. You take a look at Severance. You take a look at things like even Napoleon. While it didn't do gangbusters, they took care and they spent the money on it. What was something of the Flower Moon, whatever that one was with Leo DiCaprio, like Killers of the Flower Moon. There we go. They take care, they put the money, and then they invest and make sure that these filmmakers and creators can actually make something really, really good. Netflix, though, scares me. Netflix scares me because while they can make hits from time to time, their movies aren't typically hits. Sure, you can go on Netflix and watch the latest Adam Sandler movie, and they're all pretty much the same. Sure, they're TV shows. You got your House of Cards, you get your Stranger Things. Hell, you get your Cobra Kai's. Those are good. They take care, and they're allowed to really flesh out. But movie-wise, I don't want Netflix to win this over. Skydance is another interesting one, but I think I would love to see a dark horse come in here. And the dark horse I would like to see come in here would be Amazon. Now, after they just spent billions of dollars for the rights of 007, I don't know if they're going to jump in there and try and get the Bourne Identity, which is almost the same. It's similar, but it'd be interesting. I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys think. What would you like to see? Who would you like to see take over this franchise? Again, I'm a stickler. I'm a sucker, I should say. I'm a sucker for these kind of movies. I love these action-packed spy thrillers. I love them so much. So this is another franchise, just like the 007 franchise, just like Mission Impossible. I love the Bourne Identity franchise, so I'd love to see it being reinvigorated some way. So I hope the right studio gets it so they actually breathe some life into it and make it something great again. But I want to know, are you interested in this? Do you want to see it get reinvigorated? Do you want to see it get built into something new? Hell, if a studio like Apple gets it, they could make it its own little universe, have movies, have TV shows. I mean, Netflix could do the same thing, but again, their quality isn't as good. If Amazon gets it, they could do it as well. So what do you think? What would you like to see? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right. Trayvon says, I thought Jason Bourne was a franchise owned by Universal. Am I missing something here? They were. It was owned by Universal, but it is now, the rights are able to be sold to another studio now. Yeah. Trayvon says, if Skydance gets Bourne, that would make them the owners of 2 spy action franchises, but only if they merge with Paramount. Mission Impossible owner goes through. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm okay with that. Imagine if Amazon gets it, then you could have like a crossover of 007 and Bourne, or if Skydance gets it, then you have a crossover of Mission Impossible and Bourne. That'd be kind of cool, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I just think it's an interesting topic just because I love it. I can't wait to see what they do with the whole thing. Cooper316 says, I like the Bourne movies too, and yeah, please not Netflix. Look, I love Netflix for what it is. I do. But when it comes to their content like that, they just drop the ball too often. I can't watch their movies that much. Like, I'm looking forward to Happy Gilmore too, but I know exactly what it's going to be. I know that it's not going to be anything great. I know it's not going to live up to the first one. I know it's not going to be fantastic. I just know exactly what it's going to be. And that's pretty much it, you know? Critic Chris says, I'm not crazy about Power Rangers being owned by Disney again. So I heard how many seasons under Disney brand? Oh, I don't know. Kind of went off topic there. Yeah, I guess Disney's looking to make a new Power Rangers show or something like that. Yeah, that's disappointing. All right, moving on. Interesting if Resident Justice is still here. Rumors are swirling around the Warner Brothers DC are going to attach a 5-minute preview exclusively in the IMAX screenings of the Minecraft movie. Hold on, guys. Now, RJ says, would make sense given the rumors of the next trailer dropping during CinemaCon presentation on April 1st. We'll have to wait and see, he says. I think a 5-minute preview with a mix of scene and some behind-the-scene vignettes a la Mission Impossible might be worth it. A Minecraft movie is going to be huge for families and general audience attendance. Yeah, I mean, Resident Justice is hitting the nail on the head with this. This would be huge. But shortly thereafter, he posted this. Some more information came out. It looks like, at least in Thailand is teasing that their IMAX showings for Minecraft will exclusively show a clip. Does this mean that it's only going to be in Thailand? That is to be seen. A lot of people think that it's only going to be in Thailand. Some are thinking that, well, it could be all IMAX. It's hard to imagine that they're just going to have it in Thailand. It seems like it's going to be around the world. And I think this is going to be a good gauge here. And I think people don't quite understand what this means and what they're trying to accomplish here. Okay. And this is why I wanted to bring this up, because this is a very, very interesting marketing tactic. All right. So this does two things. One, it's going to draw people to the theater to see Minecraft. Minecraft is not tracking great. I mean, it's tracking all right. It's not tracking great. So it's going to draw people to go see Minecraft. And remember, Warner Brothers needs people to get their butts into the theaters to see their movies. They need that money. Warner Brothers does. Let's face the facts. It needs to happen. That's one. Number two, it's going to help them gauge the interest in Superman. All these people who sit there and say, well, nobody wants to see Superman. Nobody's interested in seeing Superman. Well, this is going to help gauge a better understanding of what that interest actually is. And really, there's a third thing here that it's going to do. it's going to blow up the interest. So if there's people that aren't going to see it for Superman, people that do go there to see just Minecraft, well, they're going to see this and their interest is going to get piqued for Superman. So this is very similar to what they did for Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. They did this for other movies as well in the past. Warner Brothers is known to do this. Nolan is big for allowing films to, or Nolan was known to do this with his films. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. I think this is a really, really big move. I'm sure this will be announced officially at CinemaCon. I'm sure at CinemaCon next Tuesday, they'll show a trailer and then they'll say, starting on Tuesday, or not Tuesday, on Friday, at IMAX screenings of Minecraft, everybody will get an exclusive 5-minute peek at Superman. And I think that's what we're going to see there. That is what I think is going to be exciting. And for me, if you ask me, this is a brilliant marketing move. Brilliant marketing move. Gets butts in the seats for Warner Brothers for Minecraft. It's going to get the more notoriety, but more eyes on Superman and pique the interest of everybody for Superman. And it's going to give them the ability to kind of see, because they have the early tracking for Minecraft, which let me pull that up real quick. Let's see. I'm on the wrong screen here. Let's do it over here. Let's see. Early tracking Minecraft movie. Let's see here. Early tracking for Minecraft movie suggests a decent opening with projections around 58 million. Potentially between 53 and 63 million in North America. So that's domestically. So it's tracking slightly higher than Snow White, which again isn't phenomenal. It's not great. Now, that tracking right now, that's early tracking. So we're looking at, let's comfortably say 55 million. I'll say 55 million comfortably. If they announce this officially on Tuesday next week and people get excited, and let's say that number, which they expect it stays, this tracking stays at 53 to 63 million. And let's say the movie then opens up at 70 or 75. Okay, let's just say that's what happens. What that will do is that will show, holy shit, people want to see Superman. That's just what it is. I don't like, because this movie, it's tracking, as it says, decently. It's not tracking great. It's tracking decently. And I think if anything, it needs a boost. It needs a boost. And that's exactly what putting a 5-minute preview on the IMAX screening would do. And you put it on the IMAX, that's higher ticket sales also, because the ticket prices are higher for IMAX. So you're going to get more revenue in from that, which makes sense. It is smart. Unfortunately for me, my closest IMAX, oh, well, crap. I have the little thing turned on. The closest IMAX theater to me is like, I don't know, I think like an hour away from me, hour and a half away from me. So that sucks. But if they announce it, I may have to go do it. Not going to lie. May have to go do it. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think this is actually going to happen? Do you think it will be in the IMAX theaters in the United States and everything? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's see. Jay Kelly says, 5-minute peek before seeing an official trailer. No, this will be a 5-minute peek. The official trailer will be out, and then it'll be a 5-minute peek before the Minecraft movie. So you'll get probably like 5 minutes, and I'm sure it'll be something small. Will it be a 5-minute scene? Will it be behind the scenes? Like, we don't know what it'll be. It should be interesting. Like a prologue, kind of. Donovan Martin says they did this for Dark Knight Rises for Max prologue. Game City Savior, did he talk about Smallville yet? I did not talk about Smallville yet. That's coming up. Donovan says, it feels like they're doing this to entice people to come out to the movie. Yes, 100%. 100%. It says it's official, not rumors. Donovan says it's official, not rumors. Yes, it is official. This originally, when RJ posted this, it was rumored and then it came out. But it's still not official for American theaters. I haven't seen anything official for American theaters yet. Donovan says it's bizarre how it's only Thailand and not worldwide or even in the States. Again, I think that it's just not official yet. I think it would be kind of ridiculous if they only kept it in Thailand. Personally, I think it's going to be worldwide for all IMAX. But I think they'll announce that. If not, then it is what it is. But we'll see. Andre says, DC haters always say they're not going to see DC movies, but they'll be the first ones getting the tickets to see the movie. Pretty much. Trayvon says, counter argument to Superman promos not being attached to Captain America Brave New World. It's attaching itself to Family Fair, an example, Mufasa, Sonic 3, and Minecraft. Maybe. Donovan Martin, imagine if people only go for this and then leave, not see Minecraft. It's funny. I think I've talked about this in the past. Back in 2005, 2004, maybe before, it may have been 2004, the movie Robots was coming out, and attached to that movie was the Revenge of the Sith trailer. And I just wanted to see it in theaters. So I went and bought a ticket for Robots, saw the trailer, and left. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go see it again. So I went and bought a ticket, watched the trailer, and was like, you know what? I'll stick around and watch the movie. And I actually watched the movie that time. But no, I've done that in the past. It's not something, whatever. You do what you do, Vidhand says, what about the Untitled Batman project? Well, I was thinking about bringing that up today. And we could talk about it here real quick. So this Untitled Batman project that you're talking about, it's not an Untitled Batman project. It's the Batman 2 has shifted to being an Untitled Batman project in the what's it called? I can't really. It just shifted to the database to being an Untitled Batman project. Does that mean that the Batman 2 is canceled or that it's delayed again? See, I don't think that is really any concern right now. I tend to think when I hear this, I think about what Peter Safran said a few weeks ago, where he mentioned a Batman movie is coming and in 2026. But he says a Batman movie is coming in 2026. But it's really bizarre. Personally, I'm kind of just sitting back and waiting. This speculating and the speculation on what's happening with the Batman 2 is kind of just getting annoying at this point. We know Matt Reeves says he's working on it. I know that there's some issues that he's dealing with, and it's going to happen when it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I know there's people that are disappointed, more disappointed than I am if it doesn't happen, and I get that. But at this point, you just got to let it be. Let's see what happens. I don't know. I really don't know. Donovan says, here. I mean, he's right. He says it could just mean that it's not going to be called Batman 2. And he's right. He's right there. It's not merging with the DCU. It is not merging with the DCU. Critic Chris, Slav reminded me buying the Pagemaster VHS. The power. Yes, I got that movie for Easter just for that. Critic Chris, I got that Pagemaster VHS on Easter, and I got it specifically so I could watch the Power Rangers trailer or whatever was on. I don't remember what was on it, but yes, same with me. Yes, that was fantastic. I hated the Pagemaster movie. That was terrible. But yes, one of Macaulay Culkin's worst films. All right, let's get back to this. So Smallville. Look, I'm a fan of Smallville. I loved Smallville, but its time has come and gone. I have listened to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. I've listened to Rosenbaum's and what's his face? Wow, again, Tom Welling's podcast where they Talkville. I've listened to that a few times. So I'm a Smallville fan. I wholeheartedly enjoyed Smallville. And I knew that they were working on an animated sequel series. I think they even talked about it on Talkville, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure Welling and Rosenbaum have talked about it as well on other shows and other forums. But it was kind of one of those things where I wasn't like overly excited about it because to me, that chapter for them kind of closed. It was kind of like, yeah, I mean, Smallville ended, what, 15 years ago almost? Like, it was a while ago. So for me, it was like, do I really need more? If it came out, an animated sequel series came out, cool. If not, whatever. Well, news is coming out that the work on the animated sequel series for Smallville has stalled due to the regime changes at Warner's and DC Studios. They say, I think the fact that they're in the process of rebooting Superman again, kind of unfortunately, I think, keeps our thing off the table for a bit. So that's what's being said here. And my oh my, did people get upset about this? Because obviously this is all James Gunn's fault. And here's the thing, guys. You guys know for how long we've been talking about this. The DCU needs to be priority. Number one priority needs to be the DCU. It needs to be Superman. It needs to be Supergirl. It needs to be Lanterns. It needs to be setting up this brand new universe. Going back, looking at something that ended 15 years ago and focusing any kind of resources and money on that right now is not the best option or ideal at this point in time. I'm not saying that I wouldn't love to see at some point maybe something, because I think I would. You know, if it was good. But like I said, it had its time. We had a good run. It's good to look back and remember them fondly. And if something pops up down the line, maybe a reunion show or something like that, cool. Let's check it out. But at this point in time, I want to look towards the future. And I think that's what DC and Warner Brothers wants to do. They want to look towards the future. They don't want to keep looking back. And that's kind of the idea. That's the problem that a lot of people can't grasp right now, is that it's not about looking back. It's not about looking and seeing what properties can we revive? What properties can we bring back to entice people to watch? No, it's how do we move forward? How do we look at the future to build a sustainable IP and franchise to move us into the future? And that's what DC Studios and Warner Brothers is trying to do right now with the DCU. Smallville, animated sequel series, sure, be nice. Maybe. But it's not a guaranteed thing. And it's not like it would be a bona fide hit. It's not like it would bring in hundreds of millions of views. It's not like it would be something that would be ginormous and bring people to Max and hundreds and thousands of subscribers to Max or anything like that. So is it even worth putting the time and energy into it? You take a look at something like, because somebody says they currently have My Adventures with Superman going on. So why can't they do this? Well, now you're just spreading it even more thin, because then you have a Superman here, you have a Superman here, and then you have another Superman here. And then you still have the people who are crying and bitching about the Snyderverse. And then you want another Superman here. How many Supermen do you want everywhere? Again, you want to streamline. You want to have your titular hero, your big hero, have one solid footing. And once that's established, once you get a solid footing, then you can kind of branch out and do these types of things down the line. And that's a possibility down the line. Again, there's no reason why they can't down the line. I think it's a great idea down the line. But right now, I personally think that the focus, the energy, the money, the time should all be on the DCU. That is, And I know this is an unpopular opinion, but that's why I've said for how long now that the Matt Reeves Batman series should have been canceled from the very beginning. Because all time, energy, money, resources, everything should be put into the DCU. I know why they didn't do it. I know why they're still trying to push forward with it. I understand it. But my opinion was always that. But here we sit. People just upset because something that they never had, they're not getting. And because they're not getting it, now they want it. It's a crazy cycle that we see constantly. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But let me know your thoughts. Is this something that you want to see? Do you blame James Gunn about this? Because this isn't James Gunn's fault. Yeah, they're blaming him because he canceled Superman and Lois, which had its fair run. It's all his fault that we can't have these nice things. Well, no, he's heading DC Studios. He's got to put the resources where they need to be. I just don't get it. People sit there and say, it's all about James Gunn. It's all about James Gunn. It's all about James Gunn. And I sit there and say, 99.9% of producers or studio heads would have done the same thing. But nobody wants to hear it because they're always like, it's all about James Gunn. It's like, no, it's not about James Gunn. It's about the IP. It's about the franchise. It's about the longevity of the IP and the franchise. But these people have a obsession. They have this crazy obsession with James Gunn, an unhealthy obsession with James Gunn. And it's crazy to me of how obsessed they are with putting all their anger and all their issues on one man. It's crazy to me. But let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments below. All right. You guys had some things to say about this. Donovan says, Smallville's time has come and gone. It's time to move on. He also says, I remember hearing about this years ago, but nothing materialized. Yeah, there was a lot of shows from back then that they're like, we're going to do sequel series. Even Buffy was one at one point. It's crazy. Like, things just never came to for a lot of this stuff. Cozy Line says, Smallville had its run. Donovan says, of course it's Gunn's fault. Critic Chris says, agree, Smallville had its time. Andre says, in James Gunn we trust. Zamdan Reviews says, we have Adventures of Superman going on. Why can't we have the Smallville animated series? Again, I kind of alluded to it. You start to spread the character too thin. You want the focus, you want the attention, you want everything to be on your new main universe. And while I get why people say, well, that's just James Gunn wanting people to focus on his stuff. Yes, in a way it is, but you need to establish this universe. You need to. I look at this as them saying, look, we need this universe to work. And because we need this universe to work, we need as many eyes on this as possible. If we have a Superman here, if we have an animated show here, if we have an old 15, 20-year-old show revival over here, if we have this over here, people are going to be distracted. Let's focus on this here. Let's get this moving. Let's get this moving forward. And once this is established, then we can start talking about everything else. And I think this is just my theory. I think this is what they're going to do. I think they're going to focus heavily on the DCU. Once it's up and running and they're comfortable, it's making the money they need, then you're going to start seeing them branch out and starting to do a lot of these Elseworld things and these different projects that people want to do, like the Smallville sequel series and things like that. Donovan says the craziest thing Smallville did was make Lana Lang a vampire for that one episode. Like, huh? They can make Lana Lang whatever they want. Let's see. David Mitchell. I did not hear no one talk about bringing back Smallville. All of a sudden, they want Smallville back. Again, like I said, they don't want something until they can't get it. That's how they are. That's how these group of people are. And it's James Gunn's fault because they can't get it. They don't want it until they can't have it. And it's James Gunn's fault that they can't get it. It's crazy. Trayvon says, anyone upset over this? Only for their nostalgia. It's the same exact thing with the Shrek 5 teaser. Pretty much. Critic Chris, if they're going to have revival to Smallville, then the show's title should be changed to Metropolis. I mean, I doubt many of the episodes are going to happen in Smallville still. Yeah, even like the last 2 seasons were like that. I think most of the last 2 seasons were Metropolis, weren't they? It's been a while since I watched them, so. Best Lex Luthor. I think it should be what gets the views. The studio's in bad shape. So if a Smallville thing like worked more than Dynamic Duo, then I'd say, yeah, do that instead. But no idea if it would be the case. Again, I get what you're saying, Best Lex Luthor, that it should be about what gets you the views. But you need to take a look at a Smallville sequel series is going to get you maybe 2 or 3 seasons, maybe. And it's going to be a distraction. You're putting money and resources into something like that. Whereas those money and resources can be utilized for your DCU and developing content for a universe that's going to be built out and moving forward. Like even the Dynamic Duo that they talked about, they still haven't solidified and decided whether it's going to be part of the DCU or not. And it's so far out that if it's not, that kind of fits in line with, hey, the DCU is started, it's moving, it's up and running, it's established. It could be an Elseworld project. But if they want it to fit into the DCU, then they can finagle it to fit into the DCU then. So the Dynamic Duo one is an interesting case because it's so far down the line. But again, I see what you're saying, but this is a little bit different of an instance here because it's a new studio. Yes, they do need money. But to help them get the money that they need, they truly need to focus on their universe. They need to focus on establishing their universe for the future. They need to focus on that so they have people excited about what's coming in the future for that universe, as opposed to focusing on what was 15, 20 years ago. Vidhan says, I think there's another Superman project under works with Val Zod, I believe. That thing has been in development since 2021, roughly, with J.J. Abrams. And guess what? He's not with the studio technically anymore. So I don't think that's going to happen. Hunter Iggy's here, says, what's up? What's going on? Andre Terrell, I totally agree with you about what the DCU is doing to move forward. I enjoy Cavill as Superman, Affleck as Batman, and Godot as Wonder Woman. The DCEU is officially over. Correct. Nico, it was a pitch. It didn't work. They're moving on. It's as simple as that. Kevin Davis, even if Superman is a good film, that's not going to change anything for Warner Brothers DC. That's not true at all. Trevon Purnell, I always say that Superman and Lois died at Hero before it lived long enough to see itself become the villain. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Take a look at what happened to The Flash. Flash went on way too long. Arrow went too long. Those shows went too long, and they got real bad. Superman and Lois ended on top, and you couldn't ask for a better way to end. You couldn't. Man, there's a lot of comments here. Let's see. All right. Vidhan says, hey, check James Gunn's story. He posted something related to Supergirl and Superman, kinda. Is it on X or is it on Threads? Because you never know with him. I'll check real quick over here before I do that. Let's see. You said it's... he posted the Ozu the dog thing. That's the last thing I see. That was, what was that, yesterday? That's the last thing I see. Is that what you're talking about, the Ozu dog picture? J.J. Abrams produced Cape Crusader with Matt Reeves. Yes, he did. J.J. Abrams is the studio. They extended his contract. He's not with DC Studios. I'm sorry. Let me solidify that. He's not with DC Studios. J.J. Abrams is not with DC Studios. All right. So I'm bringing this up now because next Monday, I'm not 100% sure if I'll be able to have a show. I got a lot of stuff going on. And yeah, so next week we may have a trailer for Superman next Tuesday. Now, that's exciting because CinemaCon is next Tuesday, not tomorrow. Next Tuesday is CinemaCon. And next week, their panel is 4:30 p.m. Pacific time until 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. It's about a 2-hour-long panel, roughly. Now, the expectation is, remember, this is a Warner Brother panel. So they're going to talk about the movies that are coming out over the next year. And this is something that people don't grasp completely, okay? And I want to bring this up. I think I've mentioned this on this show a couple times. When it comes to CinemaCon, this is specifically for movie theater owners to see what's coming in the next year. Okay? And what it is it's about showing the movies that are already made, the movies that are in production or almost out of production or ready to be out of production, and movies that will be released in the coming months. That's about it. They don't typically tease movies that aren't made yet, that are still being written, are in early production, or things that they're talking about making. That kind of stuff pops up at like comic conventions and studio-led conventions specifically for IPs and things like that. Now, will they occasionally tease something? Yes. Somebody made a point to tell me on X today, well, don't you remember in such and such a year, they said the Batman 2 is happening and there's a script being written, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, that's fine. But that was coming off of the success and the excitement of Batman 1. And they were like, hey, don't worry, Batman 2 is coming and a script is being written. That was pretty much it. Like, they didn't really dive into a whole bunch more. But they do this kind of stuff to say, hey, it's exciting. This is the exciting stuff that's coming from our studio. Again, it's to get the movie theater owners and exhibitors excited about what's coming. So when we go into this, remember, this is a Warner Brothers panel. So they're going to be talking about a lot of Warner Brothers content that's going to come up. Superman fits within that umbrella. Will they mention Supergirl? It's possible. But that falls outside of the next year of content. Remember, that's June of 2026. There will be another CinemaCon before then. So my guess is they won't talk about Supergirl. They might mention it in passing. They may say, and Supergirl's in production and will be out, blah, blah, blah. And that'll be it. They may say something like that. But I think overall, the focus when it comes to DC Studios under this Warner Brothers panel will be Superman. And because of that, they're not going to mention Batman 2. They're not going to mention Supergirl. They're not going to mention Lanterns. They're not going to mention, because Lanterns isn't even going to be theater. They're not going to mention anything that isn't in theaters. They're not going to mention anything that is outside of this next year. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Now, getting down to it, will there be a trailer? I will say this. My personal expectation is I'm at about a 98% fact that a trailer will be there. So yes, I will say yes, it'll be there. 100%. Now, why do I say that there's a 2% chance that it won't be there? Because of Superman Day on April 18th. But because Minecraft comes out the following Friday, it would be foolish for them to not release a trailer and then have it playing on Minecraft. So a trailer's coming. I'm just going to give that little 2% because then I could say, it was 2%. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, a trailer will be there most likely. They're going to talk about the movie. They're going to get people amped up. I believe this is really going to be the true start of the marketing for this movie. And moving forward, we're going to see trailers. You're going to see a big marketing push from this point forward. This is what's going to be exciting This is the exciting time for everybody, guys. And I think this is where we got to get amped up. I think this is the moment where when we sit down and we watch this trailer, I think this is going to be the moment where we start to be able to piece everything together. And we're going to start to be able to piece together how this isn't going to be the same movie that we've all made in our heads, how people think it's going to be like Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, or how it's just like Christopher Reeve's Superman, or how it's just, we're going to start piecing together that, okay, this is a different movie than what everybody made in their heads. And that's what's exciting. That's what's exciting. But I want to know what you think. Do you think we're going to get a trailer at CinemaCon? Do you think it'll be part of Minecraft then after there? What do you then think we'll get on Superman Day? That's interesting. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I see a lot of people over here in the comments. Let's see. What do we got over here? We got Sean O'Rourke in here. What's going on, man? Hey, you've stopped by a couple times to chat in my show. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it at all. Thank you for stopping by. He says, Warner Brothers Discovery needs to drop an official trailer ASAP. It's coming. It's coming April 1st, man. It's coming April 1st. Real Anarchy says only Superman and maybe Supergirl, but don't expect any info on Batman 2. Big info on Batman 2. Again, like I said, I don't expect any info on Batman 2. And I really doubt that we're going to get any real information on Supergirl. Like I said, Supergirl comes out after the next CinemaCon. The focus is on Superman here, honestly. Sean says Jurassic World Rebirth is already on the second trailer. Superman needs to catch up. I mean, does it though? I mean, where's the hype? Where's the discussion about Jurassic World? Who's talking about Jurassic World? Do we see videos on YouTube talking about Jurassic World? Do we see people on social media talking about Jurassic World? Do we see anybody wearing Jurassic World t-shirts out in public? Do we see people buying Jurassic World figures? Do we see figures and statues being sold out once they're put up for sale? We don't. But we're seeing people wear the Superman shirt. Mine's sitting right there. We see people talking about Superman on social media all the time. We see people posting videos constantly about Superman. Yes, I know you're going to sit there, Sean, and say, well, that is just the fan base. You're stuck in the bubble of the comic book fans. But there is a big difference. There is a whole thing that is showcasing that there is an excitement there. Okay? That is an excitement there. Even those who aren't just comic book, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, a little different podcasts. I do listen to a lot of tech podcasts, but I listen to movie podcasts. And even just movie podcasts, people who don't just talk about comic book stuff like I do or other people do. They're talking about Superman. They're not talking about Jurassic World. They're not talking about Fantastic Four. They're talking about Superman. These other podcasts are bringing it up. I see the titles pop up. I see what they're talking about. I listen to what they're talking about. So it doesn't have a lot to catch up with. I get what you're trying to say, Sean. I get it. I just don't think you realize that what they've done with Superman thus far has been plenty on the marketing side. And even the people like you who are bashing it on a constant daily basis, essentially saying the marketing's bad. Look at this kid. Look at this shirt. Look at this screenshot. That's actually been helping the marketing more than hurting it, because it's keeping Superman, simply the name Superman, out in the world and people talking about it. And it pushes people like me who are excited about it, and others in my chat and others on social media, to push back on you and talking about it. So their marketing, I think, has been fine. Let's see. Nico, it's just Superman for DC. Yes, absolutely. Sean says the teaser broke records because they used bots. There's no proof of that. Show me proof that they used bots for their trailer, breaking their trailer or the records. Show me proof, and then I'll say, okay, you're right. But there's no proof. You're just saying that because you don't want it to be true. Just like people were saying that about the Snyder stuff, whenever the Snyder stuff was breaking records on social media and stuff like that, which I wish I could find the messages because I have proof of things about that. And I know this isn't a Snyder thing, but I'm just saying I have proof of things there. I wish I could find the messages where people would send me things on, not necessarily bots, but inflating the numbers with that stuff. Because I was part of that fandom and I know how they inflated those numbers. But this is totally different. This is something that, like, this, there's no proof of bots. There's no proof of bots. Game City Savior in here. He says, "What's up, Ben?" I don't know who Ben is. Who's Ben? I don't know who's Ben. Andre Oliveira says, "What's up, Slav? What's going on?" Real Anarchy. Warner Brother will mention Superman, Final Destination, F1, Weapons, The New Conjuring, Mortal Kombat. Yeah, you're right on. They'll mention all of those. Superman's going to be the big one, though, and it's going to be saved for last, probably. Definitely going to be saved for last. F1 will probably be towards the end, and Superman's going to be the last one, I guarantee. Vidhan said, "I meant James Gunn posted something on his Insta story." Okay. I don't think I have my Insta logged in on my computer here, so I can't pull it up right now. Donovan says, "A guy I talked to really thinks an official trailer is 70% likely, and he's a film journalist." I think it's probably 100% likely. I know I said 98, but I was just joking around. It's 100% likely. Let's see. Andre says, "You know what Superman reminds me of? Invincible minus the hyper violence. A new good-hearted, super powerful hero and a world populated with other heroes." It's kind of what it's going to be. Kind of like that, yeah. Iron Templar, a new trailer coming April 1st. That's a day before the Nintendo Switch to Direct. Yeah, the Nintendo Direct thing. Yeah, that's the second, isn't it? Donovan says, "Jurassic World Rebirth has one trailer and a Super Bowl spot." Sean O'Rourke says, "Dinosaurs will always win out." Look, I say this all the time. Dinosaurs are exciting. People love dinosaurs. But the last 3 Jurassic World movies, each one made less money than the last. They each made $1 billion, over $1 billion, but each one made less money than the last. Each one did worse and worse and worse. And when it comes to the name recognition of the actors in those movies, Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali, while they are both fantastic actors, are not as big as Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. So it does have some things going against it. Look, I'm not saying Jurassic World isn't going to do well. I believe it'll do well. I think it will do well. But there's room for these movies, all these movies, to do well. And that's what I've been trying to explain to a lot of people is these movies can all do well. Just how well will they do? And each movie can have legs. So there's a lot of aspects around this that makes sense. I think the one that people have real high up on the list that I think are giving way too much credit to is Fantastic Four. And I'm not saying you, Sean, because you don't really talk about it very much, which is interesting. I think you see it like I see it too, is Fantastic Four, 1, has very little marketing. 2, Marvel has been struggling as of late, and it has a big hill to climb itself. So yeah, Jurassic World might be the biggest hurdle for Superman to overcome, but I think all in all, when you get down to it, I think Jurassic World has a pretty big uphill battle of its own that it has to overcome. So realistically, all 3 of these movies have to overcome their own battles, and the battles against each other are more secondary than anything. Let's see. He says, Sean also says, "As soon as the marketing takes a turn for positive, I will be on the side of Superman." I hope that's true. I'd love to see it. And I think, look, in my opinion, I think the marketing has been positive for it thus far. And you haven't. That's fine. Maybe that changes next Tuesday. Maybe it changes next Tuesday. Vidhan says, also, what's up with the Wayne T. Carr situation trending now? Like, now they're claiming he's the only Green Lantern, that Aaron and Kyle are just really poor castings. That's what they do. It's a shame, really. It's a shame. Oh, Real Anarchy. I'm Ben. I know that. I knew that. Look, I knew that. I know your name is Ben. But I just, yeah, I'm just going to move on now. We'll act like that didn't happen. Okay, we'll act like that didn't happen. Iron Templar says, I believe the claim is that the views on the trailer regenerated from ads that were played. I'm not sure how people know that. Yeah, the people were trying to, yeah, I know what you're saying there. It's not bots, but and I've heard that claim too, but it's still ridiculous. Trayvon says, dinosaurs always went out. Tell that to Star Wars. True, yeah. Sean says, last summer, all the films suffered because they were released too close. Critic Chris says, Scarlett is the only big name I'm familiar with in that movie. You don't know who Mahershala Ali is? See, that's my point. He won a freaking Academy Award, and he doesn't even know who Mahershala Ali is. And you're right, he does. He has a fan base, but go ask somebody on the street, do you know who Mahershala Ali is? Don't show them a picture, just say, do you know who Mahershala Ali is? They won't know. Or just show them a picture and don't say the name. Do you know who this person is? And they're not going to know. But you show a picture of Chris Pratt, they're going to know. Like, that's the difference there. I mean, you show them a picture of Bryce Dallas Howard, they may say Jessica Chastain, or they may say, oh, she's the girl from Jurassic World, or they may say something like that. But they may get them mixed up, but they'll still be on to something. They still be on to something. Oh, boy. Henry Anarchy goes, you're good, bud. Thanks. All right, guys. I need to get out of here. I didn't realize how late it was. So I have to get out of here. It was a good show, a good time. I enjoyed it. Thank you guys for coming on and talking to me. Sean, you and I need to do something sometime. Get a show going. Either I go on your show and we bullshit, or you come over here one time and bullshit, something like that. Because I think we'd have a good conversation going. I do. I think we'd have a good conversation going for sure. Hungry All Might says, Josh from Denver Nerds made a bet with I forgot who, but they made a $500 bet on which one is going to make more money. Josh, money is on Fantastic Four. Interesting. What is going on? Sean says, good chat. Yeah, man, good chat. All right, guys. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Great talk. Thursday, DC Watchtower. The Watchtower, all DC talk that day. Don't forget, I'll be here 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And, yeah. Should do that. Hit subscribe. If you're not subscribed, I'm so close to 2,000 subscribers. I'm like 10 away, 12 away from 2,000 subscribers. So close. Just want to hit it. So hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. You can find me on all the podcast apps and stuff like that. So subscribe there if you're not. But yeah, guys, great talk. It was fun tonight. And with all that, thank you all so much for watching. And I will catch you all later. I will see you, I guess, Thursday. Hope I see you all Thursday. Check you out later.
On that podcast, let your fandom roam free. Slabs are pop culture guru, no place else you'd rather be. Slabs free talk, it's loud and clear. Pop culture hype is far and near. Superhero saving worlds unknown. Geeky combos where you're never alone. Hit subscribe, get ready, my dear. Slabs free